Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Dana of the Dead, and welcome back if you're one of my 20-something subscribers that I have recently acquired. Today I'm going to be reviewing and kind of breaking down a little bit all of the 2022 horror films that came out that I've seen personally, which will be 13 films. So, let's do it. The most recent film I've seen, horror-wise, is Who Invited Them, which came out on Shudder by director Duncan Birmingham. I've never seen anything else by this director. I think he emerged in like 2010. But basically, this focuses on this couple that is throwing a housewarming party. And so the party is coming to an end, and this weird couple that they've never met stays around. They do a little bit of blow. They start drinking, hanging out. This movie was extremely predictable. It just seemed like a waste of time, honestly. Like, it was just lazy. It's just like, I've seen this before. The only plus side to this would be there's a lot of tension. It kind of reminded me of the movie Mother, which I love. Kind of like the anxiety that Hereditary or Mother would give you, like just like tension, like oh my God, like I feel the anxiety, and it's just like you want these people to get the ready. So that's gonna be that. I don't have much more to say about this movie. So next on my list will be Orphan First Kill. This is obviously like an origin story to the original Orphan that came out. So Julia Stiles is in this, and I just need to say I don't like her. I cannot stand her face. I don't like her. All right. So anyway, this movie focuses on Esther escaping an orphanage and fleeing to America and posing as this family's daughter that went missing. They had to work with, like, you can't really make much more of the story we already saw, and what else can she do? I will say they did provide a twist. It was decent, but I wouldn't say it was anything great. So let's move on to number 11. Next on my list is Netflix's adaptation of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I had expectations for this, and I feel like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise kind of gets, and I feel like it's not one of the most beloved franchises, which I understand, but I adore it. I don't know if the whole point was to make us want them all to die, and luckily I'm pretty sure most of them die. I don't remember because I've only seen it once. They bring back Sally. She was waiting for 50 years for this, which is so stupid because small town, hello, you're gonna have known by then that Leatherface is where he is, and he definitely didn't just hide out and not kill for 50 years. They're making a new movie as if it's the sequel to the original, and nothing in between happened. I just was not a fan of this movie. I think if I rewatch it, I might like it if I try to have a little more fun with it. The bus scene, everyone loves to talk about it, and I'm just like, it's really not that great. Calm down. Like, so much CGI in this movie. Ugh. But yeah, I don't know. I guess you could say it was gory. Like, that's one redeeming quality, but Leatherface didn't scare me. Like, give me some practical effects. He looked like a goblin.
All right, so next on my list is going to be Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
And it's an A24 film. So I had a little bit of hope there. Now this is like a horror comedy. Basically focuses on a bunch of rich kids having a party at this mansion. And then they decide to play this game. A seemingly innocent game, doing drugs and having fun. Someone shows up dead, and then they are all like suspecting each other and end up killing each other. It's like backstabbing and wrong, and it's a fun movie, and the ending is hysterical. So, you know, not setting high expectations for this definitely helped me. I enjoyed the film. I did. So, yeah, that's really all I have for that one. The next one on my list isn't necessarily a horror film at all. It's Rob Zombie's adaptation of The Munsters. Now, I think this movie looks fabulous, and I know it got a lot of hate. I know people either really like Zombie or really hate him. I obviously love Rob Zombie films. I actually really enjoyed this. I do think Sherry Moon Zombie's acting, it grinds my gears, but at the same time, it's doable with the movie because it's fun and it's goofy, and I had a really good time with it. In a way, I wish it was in black and white, but the colors do look awesome. In that it's Rob Zombie, it was cool to see him come out with something different, you know? I gotta respect him there, and I don't care what other people say. I enjoyed this movie. Number 8 on my list is going to be Jordan Peele's Nope. Now, originally when I heard he had another movie coming out, I was like, ooh, what's it going to be about? Like, I loved Get Out. When I first saw Us, I actually really liked it. And then I watched it again and I was like, wait, what is this? Like, I did not like it as much. I think him as a director puts so much passion and thought into his filmmaking, and he's definitely a horror fan. I really, really enjoyed this film. I loved the cinematography, the one shot of the house with the blood pouring down. Seen in theaters, I was like, wow, that was one of my favorite cinematography moments of the year. I rewatched it on a TV and I was like, oh, I can't see exactly what's happening. I love the dynamic between the brother and sister. Um, I love that she's like super extroverted, he's super introverted and responsible. They balance each other out very well. I know some other people wanted him to, well, he plays OJ. I know other people wanted OJ to be a little more talkative or just something, but I think he was perfect in his role. I love introverted people. So, you know, it was a nice balance. There was definitely comedic relief, which was dope. Um, Stephen Yen was in it. Really some great actors, and um, I definitely really enjoyed this film. I think seeing it in the theaters was the right move, like for sure. That's why I try to see everything in theaters. So the number 7 movie on my list is Smile. Now, while they were doing all the marketing, advertising, and all that for this movie, I was taking a break from social media. So I had no idea it was even coming out. And I actually heard about it on Chris D'Elia's podcast. And so I went to go see it by myself, and I actually really liked this movie. Now, I think it's pretty obvious to most people that it ripped off of It Follows. So that irked me because you kind of find that out right in the beginning. I'd say the first like 10 minutes, you're like, oh, this is It Follows premise, but okay. I didn't watch the trailers, so any of the jump scares that were included got me. And like I said, I'm not easily scared, but I do love jump scares. So I enjoyed this film. It's basically about a demonic type possession that gets passed on to you when you witness someone commit suicide. So Kevin Bacon's daughter, she's the main actress in this film. And she is a doctor and she's reviewing a patient, and this girl, she comes in and she's like, yeah, I'm not crazy, like I've been seeing things and it's trying to kill me. And so while she's in the room, she witnesses the girl commit suicide, and it's with a smile on her face, she's just carving away, and then it gets passed on to her. The movie goes through her trying to figure out, the background of this, and her ex-boyfriend, who's a cop, helps her dig up all this stuff, yada yada. I'm sure you've seen it. It was definitely one of the most talked about movies this year. And I also did not enjoy the CGI at the end. You know, sometimes with a demonic possession, I'd rather not see it. I'd rather it, you know, take form in other people and stuff. I don't want to see some big creature that's so fake and it's just like that's not scaring me. I'm not like at a haunted house. Scream 5 or Scream 2022 is next on this list. Now, I was nothing short of elated to see this film, and I love the mystery of the Scream franchise, trying to figure out who the killer is because I love me a mystery and I love trying to be like, no, it was him, it was her, blah, 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 blah. Now, Ortega, she's like up and coming. So she does a great job. I cannot stand her sister. I really just can't stand the group of friends. Maybe it's because I don't like the younger generations. Sydney's in it, Courtney Cox, David Arquette. And how dare they kill off David Arquette? I mean, they had to kill someone, but just kill Courtney Cox. Like, I don't care about her. Like Dewey is like he's the heart of this franchise. I will say with Scream, I could not figure out the killers. To other people it was obvious, but when I see movies, I kind of try to make things harder for myself. Like I can subconsciously block obvious things out to make a movie harder to figure out. I don't like to know what's going to happen. I don't like the predictability. I definitely like Scream 4 way more than this. Yeah. Whatever.
On to my top five.
We have X is directed by Ty West. My friend had sent me the trailer for this film, and I was like, ooh, A24, ooh, Texas Chainsaw vibes. Like, this looks good, but I didn't watch the whole trailer because I didn't want to spoil anything. And so, this movie is about a group of people that are going to go film a porno on a farm in this like little cabin type house with this older couple. The old guy lets them, you know, come to the property and rent out the space. However, he does not know that they're filming a porno. This is the 70s, so he, you know, was like, you guys better behave, blah, blah, blah. And so the cast is stacked. We got Mia Goth playing both the old woman Pearl and Maxine. We have Kid Cudi, which I didn't even know was Kid Cudi until after the movie was over, and I looked up like reviews and stuff. We have Brittany Snow, who I actually adore in this film. I was never a big Brittany Snow fan until I saw this movie, and it might just be because we get to see her boobs. And she's just this cute Southern belle. Just like, I love her personality in this movie so much. And we have Jenna Ortega, of course. She's not the main character. Maxine technically is, but Jenna Ortega gives that great scream. It is awesome. Great soundtrack, great kills, great gore. Just an awesome film, especially if you go in blind and you have no clue, like who the killer is. Is there going to be a killer? Is it the freaking crocodile in the water? Like, it's just a great movie, and it birthed into a wonderful what will be trilogy, and we will get to that later. We have Terrifier 2. I was obviously anyone that's a fan of Terrifier 1 or All Hallows Eve. This was such a long wait. Like, oh my God. I felt like, is it ever going to come out? So it was a highly anticipated one for me. I don't think I watched the trailer much, but I follow David on Instagram, so I was definitely seeing, some, who some of the actors are going to be, what it was going to look like, all that jazz. I loved this movie. Yes, I think it was a little long, and yes, it got a little weird, but it didn't matter because it just had my attention the whole time. And it was funny as I was leaving the theater, this guy This guy and his girl walked out, and this guy literally said, "What the?" And I started cracking up. I'm like, wait, I engaged in a little conversation about it. I'm like, you didn't like it? He's like, it just wasn't practical. Like the first one, like at least made sense. That's what he said. And I was thinking, like, damn, but this one's just so much more entertaining than the first one. There's so much more, so many more characters, obviously more money put into the budget, the production, just like you can tell they really put a lot of thought into making this film, a lot of love and a lot of practical effects. And I just loved it. The gore, the weirdness, just it was a great movie. Shout out to Art the Clown. I'm not a person that's afraid of clowns, but if I saw him and didn't know who he was, I'd be like, what the out of here. Number three for me is The Black Bone, directed by Scott Derrickson. He directed Sinister as well, which is a movie I've actually tried to watch, I think twice at least. And at some point, I just am like, "Oh, I'm bored." So this movie, I believe I did watch the trailer for. I went to see this one alone as well, and I adore this movie. It's different. The setting is nailed perfectly for the time period. And the two kid actors are great. The sister is so badass. It seems like a new type of horror is emerging, and it's it's like a rebirth of horror, it feels like, with this movie. Like, it feels like we're going to be getting some good stuff from now on for who knows how long, but I'll take it as long as I can get it. Ethan Hawke does great. Uh, I don't know. I don't want to, for anyone that hasn't seen it, give away too much, but this movie was dope. Um, I really liked it. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I should have better things to say, but if I could have done an actual full review of this movie, I would have, and we could really talk about it. But I only saw it when it came out in theaters, so it's not the most fresh on my mind. And because I have so many movies to go through, I cannot refresh everything that I've seen. But I will say this is a fantastic movie, and that's why I made my number three spot. And making it at number two is Barbarian. Now, this film I went into completely blind. I just heard, hey, there's a horror movie out called Barbarian. I slightly saw the cover of it, which is awesome. So I went into it completely blind, not knowing who directed it, not knowing who's starring in it, nothing. And I'm telling you guys, this is the move. This is what you have to do. It really helps, especially if you're like obsessed with horror films. So, so this movie has Bill Skarsgård, Justin Long, who I love, Richard Brake, who I adore. It's a stacked cast here. So this girl shows up to an Airbnb, and it's in Detroit, and it's dark out, it's raining, and she tries to get into the lockbox. The lockbox is there's no key in it. And then she knocks on the door. Bill Skarsgård answers, and I'm like, okay, The title of this movie is Barbarian, which makes me think some like The Woman, the movie The Woman, go down. But then I see Bill Skarsgård, and there's this like tension with them being in the Airbnb together, and he seems like trustworthy, then not trustworthy, and I'm like, oh, is he going to be a killer? Is he not? Like, it's just this whole mystery of the first act. And turns out he had nothing to do with it. Jess wakes up. She's like looking around the town at all these disheveled homes. And she's like, where am I? But she's like, whatever, let's go to this job interview. And she gets back from the job interview, and this homeless guy starts running after her, and she's frantic to get into the house. And she gets into the house. So I'm still like, what the hell is going on? Who's the villain? What's happening? Is this a haunted house? You know what I mean? Bill Skarsgård, Keith, I'm sorry, comes back, and uh he ventures a little too far into this basement, which ends up being this dungeon, underground tunnel. And yes, there's CG used, but it's forgiven because this movie is just such a good time. Keeps you on your toes, and like never a dull moment. You're just like wrapped in from the first 5 minutes. At least for me, I was just like, what's going on? I don't know. um, so Keith goes kaput. He gets Tess, is survives, but she is taken hostage by this weird milky mommy. And she learns to. You don't learn this yet, so they cut to the second act where Justin Long plays this bag AJ, and he's like, I guess he's in a sex scandal. He had some accusations against him, so he's running away. He's skipping town, heading to another state to, I believe, the home that he owns and doesn't realize it's being rented out at the time. So he gets there, whatever. He goes down into the basement. He finds his way down there, and then he gets locked into this little dungeon chamber thing with Tess. And she's like, listen, you just gotta like do what I say, blah, blah, blah. Like, just this thing wants to feed us its milk. Um, and basically, it gets really wild by the third act. And it's just, there's a lot going on, but it's super enjoyable. Seriously, one of the better horror films I've seen in the last like 10 years, I would say. 2022 kept it popping. I think everyone's uh lockdowns in 2020 just made everyone's horror imagination just grow, and they're like, let's do this. Let's get freaking scary. Because I just feel like 2020 Barbarian just did things so new and different, and like, how do you even think of this stuff? You know what I mean? Um, it was just such a good movie. I gotta watch it again. I've only seen it once in theaters, but I will definitely be seeing it again. So, on to my number one. Obviously, we have Halloween Ends.
Just kidding, because I literally still haven't seen it.
Don't really care to see it because I don't like this Blumhouse trilogy whatsoever. I really don't. Um, the first one was fine. Second one was just like Evil Dies Tonight. Like, just shut. So, what kind of horror fan are you? But anyway, my number one horror film of 2022 is Pearl. Do you ever have a movie that you just fall in love with? Like, it's like, doesn't even have to be a specific genre or anything. Like, I love this movie. This is obviously a prequel to X. Now, I didn't stay around for the ending credits of X and I missed the preview, but I quickly ran online to see reviews of X, and I saw that Pearl was coming out and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so excited." Like, these movies came out in the same year and they were filmed at the same time, and that decision was decided upon on set of X. They're like, "Let's just stay around and keep filming for this other movie." I have an idea. So basically, this goes back to Old Lady Pearl in 1918 to Mia Goth, the gorgeous, lovely Mia Goth. She has the performance of a lifetime in this movie. Really focused on her and how much of a psychopath she is. And she wants to become a star. She does this performance, and it's just such a lovely little take on a horror film in 2022. Not something you'd expect really to come out. Get the throwback vibes, like Wizard of Oz. This is going to be a trilogy. I'm still waiting for my Pearl Blu-ray to come in the mail because I need to rewatch it so bad, and I refuse to spend more money than I already did ordering it on Amazon. So, anywho, you basically see her just break down she doesn't win this little contest to become a star, and she just starts killing everyone. Like her parents, her husband is off in the war, and she's just sick of being in this little farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. She's out humping a scarecrow. It turned me on, not gonna lie. Um, but something about this movie, I am obsessed with it, and I've only seen it once. The monologue she delivers, Mia Goth delivers an almost 8-minute long dialogue. Now, I'm still debating this. This might be only me that thinks this, but there's times that she's looking down during the monologue that I think she could be reading it off script, but they claim that she memorized this. If she did, she deserves an Oscar or an Emmy or whatever those awards are for people. I don't watch them, so I don't know. But my God, it is golden, like for real. She is the focal point. You are following her the entire time. You're basically seeing everything from her perspective. I'm excited for the next one because it's going to be following Maxine in the 80s. Although that sounds awesome because the 80s rock, like this could be a great movie. I like Pearl, young Pearl, far, far, far more than I like Maxine. Maxine's just another girl and she's not as hot, but the way they do her up, I like her in Pearl with the little braids and the bows and the farmer outfit, and she's her little country accent, and she's just out there killing everything that gets in her way. But her husband seems to stick around, and that's how we got the movie X. Thank you guys all so much if you stuck around to listen to me rant. If there's any that you guys have seen that you think I should check out, let me know. If you want to see me review more horror films, get my opinion more, listen to my voice, you can subscribe if you'd like and comment. Thanks again so much for sticking around, and always watch horror movies because they're the best.